Hi, it's Carolyn Denton here with you today to talk about the spring reset. I love the concept that spring is nature's new year. Spring is newness, it's fresh. It's really an opportunity to hit the refresh button. And this concept of nature's new year really resonates with me. I am much more likely to make changes in spring rather than the actual calendar new year. Spring is a time for growth, but it's also a time for clearing, sort of making way, if you will. We certainly do this in our homes. We do spring cleaning, we clear out dust and things that have accumulated and clutter. The spring is also an opportunity to do the same sort of clearing in our bodies. Daily, we are bombarded with an increasing number of toxins, and toxicity occurs when the system that's supposed to be clearing these substances becomes somewhat overloaded with more toxins than can be eliminated or removed. Some of the signs that our body's natural detoxification system might be overloaded would include conditions like poor digestion, headaches, joint pain, fatigue, even anxiety and depression can be attributed to a toxicity of sorts. And so giving the body an opportunity to reset is wise. What is not so wise is to accomplish this with a drastic detox regime or a detox diet, because depending on the extent of the toxicity or the toxic burden that the body's trying to manage, withdrawal symptoms from a detox diet might be overwhelming, causing one to become quite ill. A smarter and safer way to achieve this goal is to support the body's own natural ability to detoxify. The principal player in this detoxification system is the liver. The goal then is to not only reduce the toxic burden or the toxic load that the body has to manage, but also by supporting the liver with the nutrients that are necessary for proper elimination of toxins. So let's take a few minutes to look at how the liver works and what nutrients are necessary to support the liver. So this is a graphic of the liver. It looks very busy, but I just want to go through it with you so that you understand essentially what's happening physiologically when the body's trying to detoxify. And more importantly, what are the nutrients that support this detoxification? So up in the left-hand corner are toxins, and there are two main types of toxins that are described here. One is an endotoxin, which essentially is the byproducts of our own metabolism that have to be gotten rid of. And the other toxin, called exotoxins, are typically more of what we think of as toxins, things like drugs, the pesticides, herbicides, household chemicals, food additives. Yes, even red dye number 40 is toxic to the body. There's just nothing the body does with that, so it gets in line to be gotten rid of. So any of these things from outside of our bodies are called exotoxins. So whether it's endotoxins or exotoxins, whatever the body's trying to get rid of needs to be broken open to be made more water soluble. And that is what happens during phase one of the detoxification system. Everything leaves the body on a stream of water, so it needs to be water soluble. So during phase one, there's a little rectangular box, white box that says reactions. These are the chemical reactions by which that molecule is broken open to be made more water soluble. So things, chemical reactions like oxidation, reduction, hydrolysis, and so forth. To the right of that are a list of all the nutrients that have to be present in order for those reactions to occur. The first 5 are B vitamins: riboflavin, niacin, B6, folic acid, and B12. These vitamins are water soluble. We have to get them every single day, but they're very important for this phase 1 of the detoxification system. Next in line is something called glutathione. And glutathione is made by the liver, and it is a very powerful antioxidant. That has to be present. Branched chain amino acids, which are really 3 amino acids that we get from protein, have to be present. The word flavonoids is an interesting word, and it's somewhat of a umbrella term representing all phytonutrients. Phytonutrients are compounds in plants, basically, that act as the plant's protection. A plant can't flee or fight, but it has to be able to protect itself from disease and blight and radiation from the sun and anything else that might pester it. So that's what a phytonutrient is, the plant's protection. So when we eat the plant, we not only get the vitamins and minerals and fiber, etc., but we're pulling in these phytonutrients, and come to find out they do the same thing in our bodies. They protect us from disease. And in this case, they work mightily in the detoxification system. So all plants contain phytonutrients, and phytonutrients really are something that wasn't even on the map maybe a dozen years ago. And so it's somewhat of a new concept, these molecules that are so protective, and they really are the darling of the research world. They're getting a lot of attention for their anti-cancer properties, heart protection, because primarily they work so powerfully in this detoxification system. There are hundreds of phytonutrients that have been noted, and so the names aren't important other than the fact that the most predominant phytonutrient in a food is indicated by its color. So there are foods that are dark green, light green, red, yellow, orange, purple, all containing phytonutrients, all important, all providing these phytonutrients for this detoxification system. Also, following flavonoids is phospholipids, and this really just indicates that beneficial fats are very, very important to this detoxification pathway support. Every membrane in our body, the cells have a phospholipid layer, which the quality of the fat that we eat dictates the quality of that membrane. So good fat is needed. So during phase 1, whatever needs to be detoxified gets broken open to be made more water soluble, which at that point, it actually becomes more toxic. It becomes a free radical. What a free radical is, normally when in a molecule, there are pairs of electrons that keep the molecule stable. When the detoxification process breaks open that molecule to make it more water soluble, those electrons become uncoupled. And that's what a free radical is a molecule that's lost an electron, and all it's going to do is go and try and find another electron. So it'll go to a neighboring tissue, steal an electron, stabilize itself, but make that molecule a free radical, and so on and so on and so on. And there's a term called oxidative stress that is an underpinning for many disease processes. And oxidative stress is free radical damage. So the body has, of course, a system to counter this. And in the center of the graphic, there's a box that says antioxidant protective nutrients and plant derivatives. This grouping of nutrients are what neutralize or stabilize those free radicals. The first four are what are called antioxidants, or sometimes referred to as the ACEs: vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E, selenium. These antioxidants, the purpose of them, or what's so powerful about them, is they're able to give up one of their electrons and not become a free radical themselves. What happens is when more free radicals are formed, then the body has antioxidants to neutralize, then the free radical damage becomes oxidative stress. So it's very, very important to get these antioxidants on a daily basis. And Mother Nature is very clever in how she has packaged things. The very foods that have the phytonutrients have the antioxidants. Also on this list are some minerals. Copper, zinc, and manganese. These are very important, not only for the detoxification system, but also for the immune system. Zinc is probably one of the most important nutrients for the immune system that can be taken in. Also in this center section is coenzyme Q10, which is an antioxidant that the body makes. Sometimes we supplement with that. More phytonutrient words, phenols, which are in onions and garlic, cruciferous vegetables, bioflavonoids, which is in citrus and many other foods. Silymarin is milk thistle, and milk thistle is considered a Western herb because it's well researched and very safe. Silymarin, or milk thistle, is a powerful antioxidant, but it's also well known to support liver function and reduce toxicity. The last word is pycnogenol, which is a pine bark. A nutrient that we might have more available to us is grapeseed extract. Again, a very powerful antioxidant that neutralize these free radicals. So phase one, broken open to be made more water soluble, becomes a free radical, ideally is neutralized or stabilized in this center intermediary sort of metabolites time. And then it moves on to phase two of the detoxification system. And phase two is what's known as the conjugation pathway, or a time when another molecule gloms onto or attaches to this stabilized molecule and takes it out of the body on a stream of water. So essentially, the nutrients that are required for phase two are primarily amino acids from protein. So protein becomes vital to supporting the body's ability to clear. All of these words are amino acids, which either directly come from protein, or those amino acids are then used to make other amino acids in the body. Finally, what's really important is being able to clear these stabilized molecules out of the body, and that's where water comes in. Water soluble is what the body tried to make these molecules, because they are taken out of the body either with our bile and our feces, or through our kidneys and our urine. And our sweat, by the way, is another way that we get rid of these toxins. So now that you have a visual, let's look at the spring reset. Now that you've seen the physiology of the detoxification system visually through the liver graphic, let's look at what this means in terms of diet. How do we support the liver? We will be reviewing the spring reset instructions document. I generally conduct this reset sort of coming out of winter, because as I said, it's much easier for me to embrace change in the spring. Also, being able to incorporate these light, delicious, detoxifying spring foods makes it so much easier to do this. So let's take a look at the spring reset instructions. I will generally either do this for 2 straight weeks, 14 days, or sometimes I do 2 weekends with 5 weekdays, which is essentially a 10-day process. And prior to starting the reset, I generally will try to eliminate some common toxins, cutting back on caffeine, alcohol. I don't smoke, but if you do, you want to kind of start clearing that. Any preservatives and additives, artificial colorings, flavorings, white foods, junk food. This sort of paves the way to begin the reset, because when you even take these things out of your diet, there can be a few days of withdrawal. So once you pave the way, let's look at some of the aspects or components of the spring reset. The anchor of the program really are vegetables. Vegetables, as you saw in the graphic, are really the darling of the research world. The American Heart Association and the American Cancer Society recommend that we have 9 to 13 servings of fruits and vegetables every day, because they do so many things in our body. So during this reset, what we're going to do is focus on spring vegetables, things like celery, radishes. Radishes are also a natural diuretic, so it helps with providing clearing in the body, in addition to the detoxification system. Asparagus, dandelion greens are well known for their ability to detoxify the liver and the gallbladder, as well as supporting kidney function. So it's a very powerful spring food. Radicchio, bean sprouts, alfalfa sprouts. Foods that are grown in season contain vitamins and minerals that are really necessary for that season. Again, nature has very clever in how she's packaged these things. Dandelion roots come up in the spring because we need them as a bitter vegetable to help our bodies clear. When vegetables are out of season, or when they're shipped from far, far away, they're often picked before they're ripe. So a lot of this innate power in these foods is not developed when something comes from far away, or it's lost when it travels so far, or it's not even produced because it's picked before it's ready to go. Very often people ask about, should I buy organic foods? Well, certainly it would be great if we could all afford to buy organic food or grow our own food, so we know that the pesticides and herbicides aren't on there. But there's a group called the Environmental Working Group who have put together a list of what they call the Dirty Dozen, which are the 12 most pesticide-ridden foods, and then a list of something called the Clean 15. The Dirty Dozen are essentially what I focus on. Celery is in the Dirty Dozen. A strawberry is in the Dirty Dozen. Strawberries, pests love strawberries, and so they're sprayed a lot. So I generally don't buy a strawberry that's not organic, which then means in order to be able to afford them, I have to buy them in season, which is essentially June through September, because they're $2.99, just like any other strawberry. So using this Dirty Dozen as sort of a framework is a nice tool. Next component is protein. We saw in the whole second phase of the detoxification system, protein is vital. But during this spring reset, we want to incorporate very easily digested proteins. Mainly that would be chicken, eggs, and you want to get an egg from a very happy chicken that's just eaten good feed and has been out in a pecking around. Proteins, protein powders like hemp or pea, which are plant proteins. If you can tolerate soy, tofu, tempeh, and miso are great. They're complete proteins, easily digested generally, and very good for this time. Chickpeas, lentils, split peas, mung beans, fava beans, these are legumes that are also very easily digested. They don't take long to cook, and they can be used in many dishes for and some containing protein as well, or all of them containing protein. Quinoa is a grain that contains a fair amount of protein, nearly as much as a chicken breast, a serving of quinoa. And then we want to favor nuts and seeds like almonds, flaxseed, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, very light. You can use them as sunflower butters, for instance, almond butter. And in terms of dairy, which is a protein, during this, I recommend to use only goat or sheep dairy products, and really to limit them to one of the 4 or 5 servings a day. The reason for that is some people know that they're intolerant of dairy either because of lactose, but then there are 2 proteins, whey and casein, in cow milk and cow dairy that bother people. And some people don't know that. And so to make this work, this reset work, you want to just leave them out on the outside chance that you are one of those people that can't do whey or casein. Sheep and goat dairy contain whey and casein, but it's very similar to human milk, so the body doesn't react like it's a big enemy coming in. Consuming fruit, again, the American Cancer Society, 9 to 13 servings of fruits and vegetables. During the reset, we're going to consume 3 servings of fruit a day. And a serving is a piece of fruit that would fit in your hand. And dried fruit, there's a special consideration for that because a lot of the water's out of it. So as an example, dried blueberries take up less room in your hand. So you have to imagine that the blueberries are their plump selves, only without water. And so it's going to be a much smaller portion of the blueberries. And then a serving of juice is about 4 ounces, and that can count as a serving of fruit. Sometimes I'll even take the grapefruit juice, 4 ounces, and mix it with a sparkling water or something like that, and use that as a serving of fruit for the day. You do want to include grain because they're a complex carbohydrate that gives the body energy. You want to include these light grains in the front part of the day when the body is more likely able to use them for energy, break them down, and distribute them in the body. And like everything, we're going to focus on lighter grains, things like barley, buckwheat, millet, brown, basmati rice. Generally, these are gluten-free grains also, or at least wheat-free. You can use the Ezekiel brand products that are, or anything that is a sprouted grain during this as well. And all of these fruits, vegetables, grains, and protein, there are included with the course some recipes using the spring foods that you'll find. A very big key, really important to this reset, is enough fluid every day. And you want to consume a minimum of about 80 ounces of fluid every day because, as we saw, fluid is needed for proper cleaning of anything, really. And so essentially you want to be drinking fluid almost constantly throughout these 10 to 14 days. Warm water with lemon is very soothing. It actually creates an engagement of the bowels, so things kind of move along. There's lots and lots of different herbal teas that can be very helpful. I usually stock up on bone broth and vegetable broths and just drink them in the afternoon as a beverage. Using apple cider vinegar, 1 teaspoon in water 3 times a day with meals is very, again, effective way to move things through the body. Additionally, foods that can be helpful are fermented vegetables, such as kimchi, sauerkraut. This helps the content of what's going through the body to form stool, things like that. Very helpful with probiotics in the body. There are many delicious spring spices and herbs, such as rosemary. Fennel is a really delicious herb to use in the spring. And another very, very important fact for this spring reset is to keep your energy up. It's important really to eat about every 3 to 4 hours to keep blood sugar going. And you want to begin this within an hour of rising and about every 2 to 3, 4 hours at the maximum from there on out, from within an hour of rising. And keeping in mind that the body is most metabolically active earlier in the day. So you want to kind of start with your first and second meals being larger, and then maybe a couple of mini meals as the day goes on. And again, this is where all of those fluids come in. You can drink broth and juices and water throughout the day to feel more satiated. You want to keep the bowel moving. You want to avoid constipation. And so by eating the recommended servings of vegetables, grain, and fruit, which are very rich in fiber, this should help. And if you do end up becoming a little sluggish, you can add a fiber supplement such as psyllium, something like senna leaf tea, which is an herb it's not exactly a laxative, but it does help the body move things along. That can be used. And to keep in mind that this fiber, one of its great qualities is fiber also is able to bind to toxins in the gut and remove them along with the feces. Toxins that remain in the gut can get reabsorbed and added to the new toxins that are coming in. So it adds to that overload that the body is experiencing. Movement is very important, although during the reset, you don't want to necessarily do these draining, rigorous 15-mile bike rides, things like that. You want to do maybe brisk 30-minute walks. And frankly, 3 10-minute walks can be as effective as 1 30-minute walk for the benefit that we're trying to get. Essentially, sweating is very important. As I mentioned, it's another way for water to leave the body. If you have an opportunity to take a sauna or a steam bath, that will really help eliminate impurities. But even a soak in an Epsom salts bath can be so beneficial. I am a food first person. I really like to try everything with food because there are so many elements in food, these components that we don't even know about, that will be important in a synergy of eating a food. But having said that, during the spring reset, there are about 5 different supplements that I might add to the process. First of all, is maybe an antioxidant supplement, including vitamin A, vitamin C, E, and selenium. It just provides additional antioxidants to sort of match up to those free radicals that are being formed. A B complex as we saw, is not only important in the first part of the detoxification system, but B vitamins are essential during stress, which this toxicity is very stressful on the body. And of course, we're meeting stress every day. B vitamins are used in the adrenal gland to make cortisol. So B vitamins are something that I would recommend. And then a couple of extracts. I use an extract version of these. They're also available in supplemental form and in capsules or tablets. But I like to use the extract, and that is dandelion root extract and milk thistle. The final supplement that I think is very helpful in general, and especially during this, is a fish oil or an omega-3 fatty acid supplement. If people don't want to, if you're a vegetarian or vegan and you don't want to use fish oil, you don't like to use fish oil, ground flaxseed can be very beneficial as well. So spring is a perfectly natural time to help your body lighten its load with the spring reset. But be gentle with yourself if you're unable to follow every single detail of this process. Ideally, you would carve out an appropriate time to start, and then get ready, prepare, do some batch cooking of grain or roasting a big tray of vegetables so that they're readily available. Getting ready by stocking up on items needed like frozen vegetables or pre-made soups or vegetable juices that are jarred so that nothing will be left to chance. Really simply begin somewhere. Even minor changes from your current pattern can produce dramatic results of enhanced health and vitality. And this is just what the body needs for the enjoyment of a fine spring day. So give the reset a try, and we'll see you next time.